I'm John Moxham. I'm a powerboat designer. I wasn't always. I was in the aircraft industry, learned a lot from that. Well, this really is my baby, you might say, because my interest in hulls is planing hulls pretty exclusively. I don't design any displacing hulls because having come from the aircraft industry, a planing hull has got so much in common with an aircraft. I mean, for instance, I once went into a wind tunnel when I was at Foreign Aircraft, learned a great deal, and later on in life, you look at the same thing happening with boats, exactly the same things happening at slower speed. So it was natural, really. Plus, although I was ended up in the design office at Foreign Aircraft on the Foreign mat, you only got to design very small pieces, bits and pieces. Not very satisfying, you know, when you go home. But as soon as I got onto boats, I realised this is great. I can design the whole thing. I can do whatever I like. It's taken a long time, but over the years, I started to learn that whereas everybody else is trying to clear the wash from the boats as quickly as they can, they're coming up with all sorts of different means, steps, spray rails, you name it, and me the same. I've made use of them. But the answer lies in making use of the water. What really got me going finally was being interested in the aircraft business. I knew all about the American Valkyrie bomber. I mean, this is an incredible thing. I mean, not many people even know or look at it. In fact, very few people know about the Blackbird. You know about the Concorde. The Blackbird alone flies a third faster than the Concorde and from very much farther. This Valkyrie bomber would do it all. It was bigger than the Concorde, and it would fly to Russia and back carrying an unknown number of atomic bombs. Now, to do that at Mach 3, the speed the Blackbird's going, where the leading edges of the wings can melt if you made them in aluminium, it takes a lot of doing. And I thought, well, how is it achieving it? And the answer is, they droop the wings. A normal aircraft will spill air from its wings. It will sort of slide along the swept leading edges, which everybody has, and off the wingtips. They stop this by drooping the wingtips downwards, vertically. And what that does is, as the air can't escape, it builds up. So you've got compressed air under the wing. And I was told it will fly 10,000 feet higher just by doing that. Now, this got me thinking. I thought, if that works well with an aircraft, it's going to work exceptionally well in water, which you can't compress, unlike air. And over several years, I drew up several designs. Eventually, I hit on one, and I thought, well, I've got to try this out, because it's no good just having it as a theory. And a friend of mine had a radio-controlled model boat. It was actually made from the hull I designed for the SBS boats. And it was at a 1/10 scale drawing, which made it ideal to make a model. Anyway, he lent me this boat, let me alter it to my new design. But before we did that, being an ex-professional photographer himself, we took a series of pictures on a lake, a known number of things which we could repeat with a modified hull. And we did exactly the same thing. And being an electric boat, it was flat out all the time in both cases, and the difference was quite startling. Lots of things which are additional benefit. I mean, bearing in mind that the main interest for me was the capacity of the hull like this to carry loads, which was borne out again by the Valkyrie bomber, being able to fly with atom bombs at Mach 3. So in the primary case, speed was not the first thing I'm looking for. I'm not winning races. Produce a good commercial hull, which would be better than anything else. So it is a load carrier. However, having said that, it has all these other properties which are, you might almost say, spin-offs, because you are getting extremely solid water to the propeller. Unlike all the other people who are trying to force air under the boat, this can be a problem. So many boats cavitate. No matter how much power you put on, you can lose as much as 100 horsepower if the thing starts cavitating. This never did that. I did know that would be the case, actually, because I knew we were compressing the water. Or you can't compress it, but you're building up a quantity of water which in effect lifts the boat upwards because it can't escape, because it can't compress. Now, a benefit from this is also that if you do a very tight turn, it will not slip sideways due to the shape of the hull necessary to produce the hydraulic lift. It is absolutely as steady as a rock. And this is extremely unusual amongst powerboats. I know of virtually no other normal planing hull which eventually you can't force the back of the water out of the onto the surface, skidding sideways. This boat will not do that. Of course there is the benefit, again, which I was aware about, of stability when at rest. The very shape of the hull gives it extra stability which a normal deep V hull doesn't have. Basically, you want as deep a hull as you can have because it will cut through the water. The trouble is, if you go too deep a V, you've lost all stability and it will flop over. This one we were able to do as great a deep a V as is in normal use of 25 degrees, but because of the shape of the hull, it is still extremely stable at rest. There's no doubt about it that it will apply to bigger and bigger boats, but they would need to be boats which would have enough horsepower to make use of the hydraulic lift. But certainly I can see used on much bigger boats than we are at the moment.